What if everything you believe about money is incomplete? Not wrong, not fake, just incomplete enough to keep you stuck. Most people grow up hearing the same advice. Study hard, get good grades, find a stable job, work until retirement. And on the surface, it sounds safe, responsible, smart. But here's the uncomfortable question. If that advice is so good, why are so many educated people still struggling financially? That's where this story begins. Rich Dad, Poor Dad is not just a book. It's a comparison between two completely different ways of thinking. A young boy grows up listening to two fathers. One father is his biological dad, highly educated, respected, stable job, but constantly stressed about money. The other father is his friend's dad, less educated, but financially free, confident, and in control of his life. Both teach him about money, but they don't agree on anything. One says, work hard for money. The other says, make money work for you. And that single difference quietly decides the outcome of their entire lives. This is not just a financial lesson. This is a mindset battle. And by the end of this story, you'll understand something most people never learn, even after 40 years of working. Money is not the problem. The way you think about money is. Blue Book Chapter 1, The Rat Race Illusion. Most people don't realize they are running a race they never chose. It starts the same way for almost everyone. Go to school, get good grades, get a job, get promoted, buy a house, pay bills, repeat. At first, it feels like progress. First salary feels exciting. First job feels like freedom. But slowly, something changes. Expenses increase. Lifestyle upgrades happen. New phone, new car, bigger house, more responsibility. And suddenly, even though income increased, freedom did not. You were still working. You were still waiting for payday. You were still worried about bills. This is what Rich Dad calls the rat race. A cycle where people work harder and harder, but never escape financially. Because the goal was never freedom. The goal was survival with a better salary. Now here's the shift Rich Dad teaches. Don't work for money. Because when you work only for money, you become controlled by money. You accept jobs you don't like. You tolerate stress you shouldn't. You avoid risks you should take. Why? Because you are afraid of losing income. And fear becomes the real boss of your life. But when you learn to make money work for you, everything changes. Now you are not chasing survival. You are building systems. Systems that earn even when you are not working. That is the first break from the rat race. Not more effort. But earning money is not the same as understanding money. And that gap is where most people lose everything. Rich Dad teaches something very simple but powerful. Money has a language. And if you don't understand it, you will always lose the game. A brand new car feels like success. But every month. Insurance, fuel, maintenance, Emmy. It is not giving money. It is taking money. That is a liability. That's why financial literacy is not optional. It is survival knowledge. But Rich Dad asks a different question. Why are you not building your own assets? A job gives you income, but it also gives you limits. Fixed hours, fixed salary, fixed growth. Even promotions are controlled by someone else. Now compare that to ownership. Ownership means you earn while you sleep. You earn while you travel. You earn while you focus on something else. That is the real difference. Let's take a simple example. Person A works in a company for 10 years. Person B works the same job, but also builds small investments. Stocks, side business, maybe rental income. After 10 years, Person A has experience. Person B has income streams. One depends on salary. The other is slowly building independence. And here's the key point. Rich people don't rely on one source of money. They build multiple pipelines. Because they understand something simple. If your income stops when you stop working, you are not financially free. You are just employed. And that realization is where real change begins. Chapter 4. The tax system's secret most people never notice. Most people think taxes are simple. You earn money, government takes a cut, end of story. But Rich Dad explains something most people never question. The system is not neutral. It rewards certain behaviors and punishes others. Let's break it down simply. Employees earn money then get taxed. Before they even touch their income, taxes are already removed. But businesses and investors? They play a different game. They earn money, spend on business expenses, then get taxed on what's left. That difference changes everything. Now imagine two people earning the same amount. One is an employee. One owns a small business. At the end of the year, employee pays taxes first. Business owner reduces taxes legally through expenses. Same income, different outcome. Now here's the real lesson Rich Dad teaches. The goal is not just to earn money. The goal is to understand how money is treated in the system. Because money flows differently depending on how you structure your life. And most people never learn this. So they stay in the same category their whole life. Earn, tax, spend, repeat. While others move into a different category. Earn, invest, optimize, grow. And that gap compounds over years. Not because of effort. Because of structure. Blue Book Chapter 5. The rich don't say, I can't afford it. Most people stop themselves before they even try. I can't afford it. That sentence sounds harmless. But Rich Dad says it's actually a mindset killer. Because it shuts down thinking. It removes creativity. It ends opportunity. Rich people don't start with no. They start with a question. How can I afford it? That small shift changes everything. Let's say someone wants to start a business but has no money. Poor mindset. I can't start. Rich mindset. How do I start with what I have? Maybe they partner with someone. Start small. Sell first, build later. Learn skills instead of waiting. The point is not money. The point is resourcefulness. Rich Dad believes money is not the solution. Ideas are. Because ideas attract money, not the other way around. And this is why some people become wealthy with little money, while others stay broke with high income. Same world, different thinking. Blue Book Chapter 6. Working for learning, not just money. This chapter destroys a very common belief. I need a high salary job. Rich Dad says, that's the wrong priority. Your first goal in life should not be money. It should be skills. Because skills determine how much money you can eventually make. Think about it. Two people start careers. Person A chooses high salary job, but learns nothing new. Person B chooses lower pay job, but learns sales, communication, business thinking, leadership, investing basics. After a few years, person A is stuck in the same income bracket. Person B can create income from multiple sources. Because skills multiply money. Salary does not. Rich Dad says the most important skills are selling, communicating, understanding people, managing money, building systems. Because in the real world, money follows value creation. Not degrees, not certificates, and definitely not comfort. Blue Book Chapter 7. Why people fail, even when they know what to do. Knowing is not enough. That's the hard truth. Many people know how to get rich ideas. Invest, save, start a business, learn skills, but they still don't do it. Why? Rich Dad explains 5 emotional blocks. Fear stops action. Cynicism destroys belief. Laziness delays progress. Bad habits repeat mistakes. Arrogance blocks learning. Let's make it real. Fear says, what if I lose money? So you never invest. Cynicism says, this won't work for me. So you never try. Laziness says, I'll start tomorrow. Tomorrow never comes. Bad habits keep you spending instead of building. And arrogance says, I already know enough. So you stop learning. These are not financial problems. These are emotional problems. And until you control them, no strategy in the world will work. Because wealth is not just built with money. It is built with discipline. Chapter 8. How to start when you have nothing. Most people believe they need money to start. That's the biggest delay in life. Rich Dad completely rejects that idea. He says you don't need money to start building wealth. You need movement. Because waiting for perfect conditions is just disguised fear. Let's say someone wants to invest, but has nothing saved. Most people stop there. But the rich mindset asks, what can I do with what I already have? Maybe it's learning a high-income skill, starting a small service business, selling something simple online, investing tiny amounts consistently, partnering with someone who has capital. The size doesn't matter. The habit does. Even a small investment of time or money creates something powerful. Momentum. And momentum builds confidence. Confidence leads to bigger actions. That's how wealth actually starts. Not with big money. With small decisions repeated consistently. Blue Book Chapter 9. The Real Rule of Wealth. Buy assets, not lifestyle. At this stage, most people think they understand money. But Rich Dad simplifies everything into one rule. Buy assets. Avoid liabilities. But here's where most people get confused. They think they are buying assets, when they are actually buying lifestyle. Let's break it down clearly. A new phone? Liability. A new car? Liability. A bigger house you can barely afford? Liability. Because all of them take money out of your pocket. Now compare that with real assets. Stocks that pay dividends. Rental properties that generate income. A business that runs without you. Intellectual property or digital income. These bring money in. Now here's the trap most people fall into. As income increases, expenses increase too. That's called lifestyle inflation. You earn more, you spend more, you stay stuck. Rich people do the opposite. But redirecting money correctly. Rich Dad explains a simple truth. The rich don't just earn money. They understand how systems work. They use business structures, tax advantages, investments, compounding, leverage. While most people are stuck in one income source, the rich build multiple income layers. And here's the key difference. Employees trade time for money. Investors and business owners build systems that multiply money. So even when they stop working, their money doesn't stop. And this is why the gap keeps growing. Not because the system is unfair, but because the rules are different depending on knowledge. Now think about this carefully. Two people can live in the same city, earn similar income, and still end up in completely different financial realities. One ends up stressed about bills. The other builds freedom. The difference is not intelligence. It is financial understanding. Final lesson, the real message of the book. If you strip everything away from Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the message becomes simple. Money is not the problem.